Hey folks, and welcome to our look at the Elder Scrolls Online beta. We've done actually a few beta tests over the past couple of months with the game, and we've all compiled our thoughts. There's an article on the site which you can check out, but wanted to give you a bit of a video overview so you can see visually some impressions we've had with the game. Obviously, a big thing with any MMO is character creation. The Elder Scrolls titles have always had a really great character creation system. And this just expands on it. There's a ton of options here. All of your favorite races are available. Classes are available to play. You can see here with our little pop-in that there's a lot of options to choose from. And the character models look really good. Elder Scrolls games always have had kind of an awkward look to them. They've always gone for realistic, but there was never quite anything. Stuff wasn't quite right. This time, the models are a little bit stylized, which I think works for it. And yeah, they look really good, and there's a lot of options to really make your character how you want it. So we went with for this little demo here, we went with a little sorcerer, and she's going to play through the first part of the game, and like any typical Elder Scrolls title, you're going to start out in a prison as a prisoner. In this case, you're actually in Oblivion, not the game, but the world, the afterlife. You're caught in there, and you need to escape and get back into the world of Tamriel. And so yeah, things kind of start out with your typical your learning scenario. It walks you through a little tutorial with some of the controls and stuff, and it feels like an Elder Scrolls title, but I don't know. It's a little bit different. I've played a lot of Elder Scrolls games all the way back until Daggerfall, and since Morrowind, the Elder Scrolls series really brought that open world feel to players. It made it feel almost like a single player MMO. Many thought this would naturally translate into a multiplayer version, but while I feel Elder Scrolls Online has a lot of the look and lore of an Elder Scrolls game, it just doesn't quite have the same flavor as the series. I mean, graphically, Elder Scrolls Online should impress you, but it's not a huge step over, say, the PC version of Skyrim. The biggest change, like we said, was the character models. They're a bit more stylized, but there are some nice things that should impress you with, like, say, lighting and some of the little details in the environment. You can see here the shadows and stuff like that really kind of stand out. The texture detail is really nice. I had a few issues graphically with resolution and some of that kind of stuff. Not scaling things correctly, but the game ran really well. I have a pretty decent system. It's running GeForce 770 on an old i7 processor, and yeah, I mean it was pretty smooth. So that's definitely good. You've got first and third person perspectives, which was something Skyrim added to the series. First person, you feel like you're moving pretty slow. You can see here, I don't know, like I felt like I was sludging through the world. And then in third person, like the animations play faster than the movement, so it looks almost disconnected from the world. For the most part, Bethesda has retained the Elder Scrolls progression system. That is, you do stuff and you level up that ability. So if you're using the one-handed sword a lot, then that'll level up. If you use bows and arrows, that'll level up, or magic and stuff like that. Those things level up with use. So it's a bit different than a typical MMO where you gain experiences for completing quests and stuff, and then you use those to allocate the points, things like that. There's still a lot of skills and stuff based on your class and your guild and your alliance that you can unlock. And like Skyrim, those skills have multiple levels of points that you can put into it to make it better. So not only do you unlock the skill, but you can basically master that skill too. Combat pretty straightforward and familiar. You left click attack, right click, you can actually block. You can do some countering kind of stuff here too. It's not as action oriented as Skyrim was with the combat, especially if you're going to play with a more like a sword and a shield kind of oriented character, but there's not those really cool like finishing moves you saw in Skyrim. But it's not bad. it's okay. You still have your stamina bar, so you can only do so much before your guy tires out and it becomes tougher to attack. But after 8 hours or so with the beta, I still wasn't comfortable figuring out the character progression system, kind of going back to that. Like I said, you unlock points and stuff just for completing, for using your abilities, but you also get some points for completing quests. And I think there's some other things at play, but it was generally obfuscated by the game's interface, which in my opinion is pretty weak. It doesn't do a good job of conveying all the information it needs to convey. It's hidden behind a lot of stuff, and you can see here there's a lot of numbers and stuff at play. So I don't know. Overall, I hope that they can polish up the interface and make it a little bit better, and we'll see how that goes. Ironically, I think one of the biggest problems for Elder Scrolls Online might not be a problem for the game at all, but it feels a bit too much like an MMO and not enough like an Elder Scrolls game. The quests themselves, they're very cliche. It's a lot of do this, go here, do that, go there. And while it's fully voice acted, which is definitely nice and something that's pretty rare in a lot of MMOs, I mean the voice acting's top notch here. The quests are just uninspired, I guess is the best way I can talk about it. And it's like I said, it's a lot of go here, do that. Like one of the quests, I was in a house with a couple people, and I literally had to run between the people in the same room and just click through some dialogue to complete it. It just felt pointless. It lacks a lot of the freedom and experimentation that we've come to know and love from the Elder Scrolls games. It's figuring out how you can screw with the system to complete something, whether it's killing off somebody or stealing something or just going outside the norm. I never felt like I could go outside the norm in this game, in the beta version anyway. The dialogue itself, it's pretty straightforward. You do have some choices there. Sometimes you can intimidate somebody, or you can choose to go this way or that with it. You can put yourself into different quests and join different sides of those quests and things like that. But I miss simple things like the ability to steal anything within the game world or attempt to pickpocket or kill random townsfolk. The AI seemed to exist in like this very small box, only reacting to a very small distance from your character, where the typical Elder Scrolls games, if you kill somebody in the town, like the entire town guard would be running, and that doesn't seem to happen here, especially even with killing enemies. Like you can walk pretty close to an enemy without them even realizing you're there before, and you can shoot them, and sometimes there'll be a guy right next to them, and they won't even budge. It's a little too much MMO and not enough Elder Scrolls in that sense. I mean, to put it simply, the lifeblood of an Elder Scrolls title simply doesn't exist here, from what I've seen. Finally, to touch on the cooperative aspects of the game, there are promised 4-player instance dungeons, and there's specific quests and bonuses that come from that. Like I said, I put about 8 hours into the beta, but I've yet to see one of those. I got almost to level 10. I hear after level 10 that there's some more stuff coming, but it just... I hate to say it, but I was bored, and I don't know. I mean, the game's inherently co-op. Just by completing quests and actions near other players in the game world, you'll get credit for that. So, for instance, if there's a quest to kill a certain wizard to get an item from that wizard, and you see somebody already attacking them, if you just join in and start attacking too, you'll both get credit for that and get the item needed to complete the quest. So I guess that's definitely good. All in all, it's hard not to be disappointed with the game in its current state. Like I said, it's beta. We've been playing the beta over a couple-week period, so it's still early. But as a premium MMO, one that's going to charge $14.99 a month, I fear it's a large uphill battle for Elder Scrolls Online, especially since that early game content is so hard to grip you. And, I've heard the later game content's much more interesting, and that's really where you get into some cool stuff. I've seen some awesome videos put out by the team, some of the battles. And I like what I saw there, but I had a hard time pushing myself to play the beta. Like I said, I was bored, and that's something I've never said in an Elder Scrolls game before.